All right, Connor Flannery, ConnorPugs.
What up, man? How we doing?
Good. How are you? For the audience that does not know you, feel free to introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I've been on social for a really long time. Started doing YouTube as a kid. I think most people in middle school are like, I want to start a YouTube channel. I'd say about half of them actually do it. And then most of them stop posting within a week, 2 weeks. I just never stopped posting. 4,200 videos later, I'm at about 1.8 million subscribers on YouTube, about 1.2 million followers on IG, good numbers on Snap, doing about 100 million, 150 million views every single month across all the platforms. Most of my day, though, I am finishing up college, so getting a math degree, senior year, so almost done with that. But the majority of my day is actually spent running agencies. So it's like all the social media stuff that I know how to do. A lot of businesses who are trying to sell products or services to their customers, they want to use social, but they don't really know what they're doing. So I help a lot of them when it comes to their organic social, influencer marketing, anything you can kind of really think of in the space.
So the two videos that I remember watching from you years ago, there's one in particular. It was the DJ, and it's not a good video, unfortunately, in the sense of it's not a positive topic. It's a good video. It's not a positive topic. It's these comments underneath Jacksepticeye's videos are disgusting.
Yep.
That's like your most popular video.
Yeah.
And around that same time, I Feel Awful for Genie Animations.
Yep.
And I'm not going to go into the reasons why you felt bad, why these things are terrible. I'm sure if anybody has the time, they can look into it.
Yeah.
But what do you, because those are some of your most popular videos, what do you consider, your greatest success and accomplishment video-wise?
Yeah, 100%, man. So my channel's gone through a lot of iterations. I think that's one thing about being a creator, being on YouTube, being, whatever, is there's a lot of, if you kind of figure out one niche and you're really good at it and you can kind of do that forever, that's great. But one thing I've kind of noticed is that, if you kind of start to notice your channel kind of like riding into the sunset a little bit, like you can either ride with it and kind of let it slide down, but sometimes you have to pivot to stay alive. So I've gone through a couple iterations. I started way back in the day doing these like stop motion animation videos. They're terrible, and I've left them up just so people can see the process. They're like almost 10 years old at this point. It's probably like 8 or something. It's crazy. And then I transitioned in 2021 when my channel started doing better. Man, I was doing commentary videos, but for just Minecraft people. So when like Dream, Tommy in it, when that community was huge and everyone was going crazy, there was videos I could make 2 videos a day if I wanted, because they'd sneeze and then it'd be like canceled on Twitter or whatever. Is awesome. And those 2 videos you brought up are when I kind of moved to the more general commentary. I really did enjoy like the commentary era. It was, I like talking. If you can tell, I'm a little rambly, so it fits for like long form YouTube videos. So that was kind of a good fit for me then, man. I think I transitioned out one. Here's the thing. I've always taken, like, I really do love YouTube, but I think at a certain point, like if you ever want to do it and have it sustain you, and then also if you want to have like a life and travel and like family, like you should have some kind of business lens. So what I was noticing was that, at least in the return when I was doing commentary videos, it was all over the place. I think I had my best month ever on YouTube that month when I had the Jack video. But then within a month, I'm not going to give revenue numbers, but it went down 90% within 1 month. And I'm like, this is not a sustainable model. So after that, I transitioned to the story time videos, which is the same format. I'm still doing that today. And I was able to see that transitioning to the story time videos is able to maintain a lot better, because with the commentary videos, it was really topic dependent. So one, they had no shelf life, meaning that video on Jack, like, yeah, I got 5 million views very, very quickly, but it's old news. It's no longer relevant. And also the second reason I kind of wanted to get out of the commentary space, I think it's a great space. I'm, anyone who does it, like, good on them. But one thing I will say is I got a little bit uncomfortable commenting on real situations and real people, right? A lot of the time it was stupid drama. It was kind of like whatever. But in those situations, like, look, I'll be honest about something. Like, I did get some feedback, some criticism on those videos. At the time, like, I had completely, like, totally pure intentions with it. I thought both situations were bad. But people pointed out, and I didn't really listen to it at the time, but on reflection, I think that they're somewhat right. is that if you draw attention to a small set of people doing something bad, you're kind of giving them what they want. So I kind of made decision one for really the business sense of the channel and kind of the financial stability of this asset to make a transition. But then also I felt, if I'm making stories about spoiled kid, like does whatever, who cares? It's really not consequential. And when I made a video that 5 million people saw on people commenting that stuff about, Jacksepticeye and his dad, like there's a decent chance, right, that some people saw that and started commenting that. That's a totally valid criticism looking back. And that's probably one of the reasons, not the only, obviously, but one of the reasons I kind of made a switch.
Well, commentary is one of those things where you really have to have something special in the way that you talk and like something different about you, because it's such a simple format. I mean, you're just putting a Minecraft video or CSGO gameplay like Leafy did, and that's the video, and you're just talking and you're saying, wow, this really sucks. Like you really have to have something like special about what you're saying or talking about your story. So like how do you make something like that interesting, right? How do you differentiate your content from like a guy like Leafy's, for example?
Yeah, dude, I'll be honest. I think you're partially right, but I'm also going to say that in the space of commentary, you don't have to be that different as long as you aren't blatantly copying someone. As long as you're not blatantly copying someone's character, you don't have to be that special. But here's what you got to do. You got to be really consistent. I remember back in the day, it was, you can never really know what topic's going to blow and get you that million view video, especially in the very beginning. Like you just have to make video on topic after topic after topic, because with YouTube long form, especially YouTube long form, there's this idea of like getting in the algorithm. And there is some truth to, you just need one video to really go that will lift all your past videos and also give a future boost for all your future videos. So with commentary, man, I'm going to be honest, like don't copy all of Leafy's mannerisms, but I don't know. I think a lot of people that do commentary, and I definitely did this to some extent for some of my videos too, a decent amount of it's copied from like what Leafy used to do. A lot of it's copied from what old Pyro used to do. It's just kind of like the space. And I'm no longer in the commentary space. Like I am kind of just story time videos on the YouTube channel. I post like the kind of like the broad relatable content on Instagram, kind of do my day on Snap. I mean, the majority of my day is honestly just working with businesses at this point. Because I can do what I like about social, because I really like YouTube. Is almost like the game of it. It's fun, man. I really enjoy it. But since I enjoy the game, it's like it's more sustainable for me to do it for other people. But yeah, back in the day, if I had to give one advice, especially because people would always say every year, oh, commentary's dead, man. Gameplay commentary's dead. There's always news. There's always people talking about news. You just need that one video. Once people, I will say something. If people stop being petty and gossipy on the internet, well, then commentary is dead. But I would make a pretty big bet that will never happen. So my advice would just be start posting, because you don't need to be as special as you think. You just need to post more.
Did you ever feel like when you were making the commentary videos, it felt like the negativity was ever getting to you? Like sometimes you were thinking about these situations over and over again, and you're editing a video 1,000 times. Like you're hearing a story of a guy, like Jane Animations, where it's like, oh, these people are like basically violating her privacy or violating her, her rights, or not her rights, but her rights, her right to, feel respected or comfortable, basically, right? So did you ever feel like maybe the negativity was ever getting to you in that sort of sense?
Well, I won't say it was necessarily the negativity of all the content like that. I will say something you have to get used to, and it was very hard to get used to, is having thousands of people, actually around that time, millions of people have an opinion on you, right? It's, you kind of have your evolved brain, which is meant to pick up on, if you think about it back in the day, thousands of years ago, if you were in a tribe, you kind of relied on that group to, shelter, food, protection. So you kind of evolved to pick up, if someone in your tribe didn't like you, then you were at a higher risk of getting exiled from the group, and you'd certainly die. The human genome doesn't change that much at all. I think it's like 1% every 1,000 years. Don't quote me on that, but things have changed very quickly, such as the ability to communicate. And not only the ability to communicate one-to-one, like one node to another, but to have mass communication, which was never a thing. So I will say probably one of the hardest things in the beginning was having thousands. It doesn't matter if you get like 10,000. I probably, when I was at my peak on YouTube, I probably had like one negative comment for every 100 positive comments. Doesn't matter how many positive comments you get. If you get 1,000 negative comments, that's like devastating for your psyche to figure out. But one thing I will say is if you just kind of persevere, at this point, I don't care, right? You actually, like, as most creators probably gone through this, it's almost like the hate learning curve. At a certain point, it's just like, I don't know. It's just not that deep anymore. I will say in the beginning though, like that's a underratedly difficult part of being a creator, which I think is a super, like relatively easy job and awesome. But I would say some difficult parts. Yeah. When you get tidal wave of hate, even if it's like not that deep, it's like, whoa, I've never had 10,000 people have an opinion on me. It's a crazy feeling, but then it just kind of wears off.
Well, I've always asked this question. It's like, how did fame affect you? Like, what did fame do to you? Did it change you at all? How did it affect you? What were the ups and downs of it?
Yeah, man, 100%. I will say I've never really like truly internalized how many people watch my content. It's always just been a number to me. I think I will go crazy if I really think about it, because all of a sudden you can't, I will say you can't really sit down and think about, like, for me on Instagram, I can pull it up right now. I don't know how well you'll see it, but on my dashboard here, I don't know if the camera can see it that well or if it'll focus, but it says 95 million views in the last 30 days. Sure,
it's kind of bad quality, but yeah, you can see.
Yeah, but if someone screenshotted it and zoomed in, they could see that. Man, 95 million. That's a crazy number of people. So I think you got to play it like a game, like have some relationship with people in your comments, especially similar names and faces you see again and again. Those can be people to you. Be very careful, like internalizing the fact that 100 million people saw you. If you really can like internalize that number, because humans are really bad at understanding numbers above, I think it's like 50 or 100, like visualizing that. Like 1,000 and 10,000, 100,000 are relatively the same when we try and visualize it. That's why, like in Congress, like the difference between like a 800 or a 600 billion and an $800 billion bill they feel like the same size, but $200 billion is huge. That's how you can kind of get away with that. Kind of going off track a little bit, but to kind of roundabout back to that question, I would say it's very weird to have this many people know a snippet of you, because no one on the internet knows me, right? Or I guess not even in the sense of like no one truly knows me, but in the sense of like, I'd say my friends know me, my family knows me, people in real life know me, but no one on the internet knows me. They see me for 6 seconds, or they hear my opinion on some news, whatever. And you also got to realize that's my filtered opinion. Like that is my opinion I'm putting on the public to hundreds of thousands of people. Maybe that's not like as extreme of an opinion I might have with some friends. Or maybe it's even more of an opinion. Maybe that opinion's a little bit, made for an audience, right? Because I know so many people are going to see it. I will say, if you watch my old commentary videos, especially in like 21, when I was on Twitter a lot, I cared a lot about what people said. So I'll look back. I'll be like, I don't know if I agree with that. I think people liked my commentary videos because I had so little. Some people hated them because it was like, he just said nothing, but some people kind of like, because it was very middle of the line. I'm generally a middle of the line person when it comes to takes. I can kind of understand both sides on that, on a lot of things. But yeah, I'll say that. I'll kind of rambling on with that question a bit, but that was a good question.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, when we're talking about fame and we're talking about how it affected you, how it changed you, one of the things that always comes up is also like fans and like how fans kind of treated you. Mm-hmm. So, this is a question I kind of wish I asked more, which is like, what are some of those offers, fans outreach looking like? Because I'm not even talking about comments. I'm talking about, the more personal or even weird fans, people that maybe like you a little too much, things like that. So like that, like stand alone. Like, let's talk about that.
I've had some funny comments, man. I've had some funny DMs. I can't think of any off the top of my head. The way I run my YouTube channel is I get my stories from Instagram DMs. So I am frequently in my inbox. And also I'll get like leads for the business through there as well. So I'm checking my inbox. I never really read my comment section. You might be thinking, oh, well, those are like your fans, whatever, you should read it. Well, no, they're not. The first 5 minutes, right? The first 10 minutes, those are people who like me and watch me. After that, it's just kind of like random people who see it. And all I'm going to say is like, as you scale and like, I mean, George, if you keep with this, I'm positive you'll scale, right? If you just keep pushing. I'm going to say one lesson I can give to you for when you hit that 100,000 million, whatever, check the comments from your subscribers in the first 30 minutes and then don't check the comments again. But my DMs, there have been some funny ones. Here's the thing. One thing I've kind of noticed is because I've never really been that personal with my content, especially now it's like stories. So it's entertainment, or my Instagram reels are quick entertainment. The people who really get the crazy people are the ones that are streaming for 8 hours a day, because then people feel like they know them because they know too much about them. Like the whole parasocial relationship thing gets really bad. For me, I think I've always had a weaker audience, and that's nothing against my audience. What I mean by that is like I couldn't sell a product really that well to my audience because they watch me for entertainment. They don't watch me for me, which is some people be like, oh, but I want them to watch you for you. I don't know if you do, man. Like it sounds alluring and it's desirable, but I'll be honest, I think I would have a much harder time emotionally if I knew 100 million people like on the Instagram last 30 days watched 8 hours of me and really and I showed everything. That would tweak with my brain. But for me, I'm like, I appeared momentarily as people were scrolling to 100 million. Like, that's awesome. I beat the video game, right? They're video game numbers. But at the end of the day, people are sitting on TikTok or Instagram in this case. My TikTok's not that good. So one platform I can't really crack, which is, I'm okay with that. But, people are sitting on Instagram and they're scrolling for 30 minutes. And let's say they watch a video on average for 30 seconds. That might be long too. That means they've seen 60 videos, right? They've seen 60 videos in 30 minutes. You think they remember every single person, every single thing like that? Nah, dude. I appear for a split second. They think it's funny. They'll follow, they'll like, they'll share, they'll view it, and then on to the next. And I'm okay with that relationship, right? I really am okay with that.
So, with that being said, and the transition from YouTube and commentary to a lot more Instagram based now, but what came about that with that transition, right? Like, why did that come about?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I will say is like Instagram's really easy. Short form videos are really easy. I don't know, man. I'm kind of more of like a adventurer, explorer type. Like, yeah, two things. One, I feel like I kind of grew up out of doing the old videos I used to, and I used to love them, right? I used to be in the space. I used to watch other people did my videos. I don't know the last time I watched a commentary video. I think it's been over 2.5 years. I don't know the last time I've been invested kind of in the space. So I make the videos because I'm a fairly good storyteller. If you like rambly storytelling to go to sleep to, I'm pretty good. I'll never give you a concise story. I'll tell you that. You'll hear 20 minutes of background and then you'll be like, Connor, where's the story? I'm like, oh, my fault. I'll get there soon. But I will say I kind of grew out a little bit of the old content I was making. And then also with brands, a lot of brands that I work with now, they're most interested in short form organic to convey their product service message, become a thought leader. So honestly, like position wise, it's better for me to be an expert on Instagram and YouTube shorts and some YouTube long form and Snapchat, just for the sake of what I'm really spending my time on now.
Well, when we're talking about the transition and, your creation journey, so to speak, what do you think the coolest moment was? Of all your journey as a content creator, what do you think the coolest moment was? Maybe someone you got to meet, maybe something you got to do, just something that was really cool and it still sticks with you to this day.
When I started my YouTube channel back in 2016, March 2016, I was in California visiting my grandparents on my dad's side. And then a week later, I was still on spring break for my school. And my grandmother on my mom's side came over. And I remember I was watching, I think it was like a Daryl Eves video. And he makes how to do YouTube. And he was really big back in the day when I started. And he was doing a video, I think it was on the YouTube play buttons or whatever. And I remember, I think I had 26 subscribers at the time, and I was gaining roughly one per day, and I was pretty satisfied with that. It took me, by the way, 6 months to hit 100 subscribers and like 200 videos. So I was behind the curve of most people. Especially there's no YouTube shorts back in the day, man. I think the first time I posted a YouTube short, I was at like 750,000 subscribers. So I've gotten a lot of subs recently from shorts because it's a fun game to play, but I grew from long form for most of it. And I remember going to my grandmother and I was like, you know, if I hit 100,000 subscribers, I'll get like a play button from YouTube. And she kind of looked at me and she was like very supportive. She's like, yeah, that's awesome. Knowing I was at 30, and I was getting one a day. I think it would take me like hundreds of years, so many years to get there. So I think the coolest moment was in 2021 when YouTube sent me the silver play button. I mean, I have above me, and it's mounted on the wall, so I don't want to take it off. But I had the gold play button above me, which they actually made smaller because it's so much easier with YouTube Shorts that they can't afford to give out the big play buttons they used to. But I still have the OG silver play button. So getting the gold one was really, I mean, $1 million's a really big deal. So that was really important to me. But I think the 100,000 was actually cooler because it was, you know, something I never dreamed of 1 million subscribers. But I did dream of like the silver play button. And that was probably the coolest day. It really was. And getting like the letter from YouTube, you get a big box from YouTube. They have this letter, obviously not handwritten, but it's like signed by the YouTube CEO. It's signed on, you know, online and then printed out. So it's not individually, but you get that. They have really cool packaging, and then you're just holding this thing. No other platform gives rewards like that to their creators, right? Partially because YouTube used to be, before Shorts, one of the hardest platforms to grow on. And also creators, if you did long form, made YouTube the most money than creators on any other platform. Because they were hosting the ads and on Instagram, whatever, you kind of just be there. That was really cool.
I have a theory. It's about something you're saying. It's about YouTube Shorts. And I want to ask you, because I feel like you know more about this than anybody else. But
my game.
I have a feeling that YouTube Shorts is sucking away views from long form content.
Yep, I think you're probably right. I remember, so Instagram, they've gone back and forth from giving a bonus for Reels. And I remember in 21 they gave a bonus. I wasn't doing IG that hard back then at all, really. And they took away the bonus for a little bit because they were realizing that their average session duration, so that's just when someone logs into the app. So YouTube cares about session duration a lot too. When someone logs into the app to when someone leaves the app. So that you want a long session duration, because if someone's on your site for 30 minutes versus 60, you can probably play 2x more ads, make 2x more revenue. It's not always linear like that, as we'll actually see in a second. But they noticed Reels heavily increased their session duration, but they realized that their monetization was actually going down because they were making more money from ads. Because I don't think they figured out ads in the Shorts. The CPM was much lower for that. So they got really good ads in the feed, but people started spending more time on Shorts. So they got people watching and using the app for longer, but they're making less money. So they're like, wait, we can't like burn money by paying people, creators, to post Reels. So same thing with YouTube. And here's the thing though. I think that there's just been a shift towards lower attention spans, and YouTube still gets crazy viewers on its long form. I mean, you can look at Mr. Beast, like there's no question they get tons of views in their long form. I do think Shorts do take away from the total. I think they add, in a sense, that there's more use. Like iPad kids are not on TikTok, they're on YouTube, right? They maybe wouldn't have been on YouTube otherwise. But I will say that like Shorts, if you're gonna incorporate that into your channel, like definitely know what you're doing.
Well, my theory was more general than just that, because I feel like when I see a long form content video now, when I was growing up, I'm 18 now, so I can say that finally. But as, you know, as a kid, a young kid, I should say, I'm technically a young adult now, but as a younger kid, I grew up watching YouTube all the time, and Yeah, and many people did. I mean, you're only 4 years older than me or so. So,
I feel old as hell in the YouTube space. I feel like all these kids are like, I'm 16 and I have 100,000 followers. I'm like, I'm a grandpa, dude. Like, it's probably why I don't feel as connected in the space anymore.
yeah, I mean, it's definitely a weird thing, especially when you've grown up on it, and now it's like everybody has it. It's like, what do you mean you don't have YouTube? I remember when YouTube was like a newer thing, but my point was, I remember videos, like all the videos had 100,000 views. Like all the videos had like about 150,000 views, 2 million views. Every video was getting 2 million views. Now it's like with shorts, like all the videos have like 50,000 views. All the long form ones, I mean.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can attest to that.
Yeah, I mean, my long form views have definitely gone down. I think that's also I think it's partially I'm not as tapped into what works in long form for my genre anymore, just because like I'm not watching my genre. So I'm definitely like a little disconnected from what for long form. I think across the board it is creator by creator, but I do think that especially a lot of like the OG names. I mean, you can look at a lot of the gaming YouTubers. I don't want to like name drop because I'm not trying to hate, because this happened to me, dude. Like it is what it is. You integrate shorts because you have to, because YouTube really wants you to. And your shorts start doing really well, but you're also going to start gaining subs that are not going to watch your long form, and they're not going to look at the subscription feed. So your shorts start doing really well, but then your long form starts to drop, and it just keeps dropping. I think there's still a lot of juice in the long form space, and that's really where you make your money, if I'm being honest. That's how you can make it a lot more sustainable. You can get a stronger audience. If you use shorts right, you can get a strong audience too. It really just does depend. But I think there's still a lot of juice across in long form, but I do think that the total pie, like a viewership, so a lot of people are moving to shorts for sure.
What do you think the biggest lesson that you've learned is when it comes to your content journey? Like, what do you think the biggest lesson that you've learned is all across this whole thing? You know, whether it's about fame or yourself or anything in life. Like, what's the biggest thing you've learned?
I'd say the biggest thing, if I could like pass on to anyone, is like you got to post a lot, and you also got to iterate. Because when I started, I posted a lot, but I didn't iterate. And by that I mean you post a video, you look at the feedback. YouTube gives you awesome feedback. They give you click-through rate, retention curve. You can study your retention curve and figure out why are people not watching, and you can see exactly where they leave, right? So when I started to become successful on YouTube, it was really because it was a process of a lot of volume so that you can get those hits. Because there's a lot of hidden information, like especially in the commentary game. I didn't know what topic was going to hit. I had like a sense of like, I think this has potential. I'd make a video, and then you'd watch the data and see if people were interested. But if people aren't, if you're not looking at the data when you post, because you got to post a lot. You don't have to post as much as me, but you do need to post a lot. You need to get your stuff out there. But if you're just posting and you're not like interpreting the data these sites are giving you, man, you're going to get there a lot slower. So I think the biggest takeaway from my entire journey throughout the whole thing is post a lot. And then also you really got to read into the data of what's going on and study the trends as well. And then apply that knowledge to your next video, and then have this very kind of like tight iterative loop where it's, you post a video, you get feedback, you apply it to your next video, you post that video, you get feedback, you apply it to the next video, and you do that again and again and again and again, and you will be net very successful. And also try new things. Like I tried shorts and I couldn't get them to work for 6 months. And then I had a short rip because I kept trying new things, and now my shorts crush it. And on Reels, it took me a second to figure it out. And on Snapchat, like I had a super dead Snapchat for the longest time. I had no idea how to do it. And I started to figure it out on Spotlight, a really good way to grow. And then I was doing 60 million views a month in there. And it was just from tweaking, iterating, and continuing to post, and also try things that are a little risky. Because if you're posting enough, you can afford to have a bunch of like things flop because you're posting so much. But if you have 10 things flop and then the 11th brings you 1 million views, that's totally worth it.
What do you think you would tell your younger self if you could?
I don't know. When it comes to questions like this, I think about it sometimes. I'm like, yeah, if you gotta have a time machine, I don't know. I've made a ton of mistakes, a ton of mistakes, as everyone does. If you try enough, you're going to make a ton of mistakes. If you're not making mistakes, you're probably not trying hard enough. I think I wouldn't, I'm happy where I am. So I don't think I'd change anything. I think if anything, I'd say start posting short form on TikTok in 2019. It's kind of the equivalent of being like buy Bitcoin in 2015, post on TikTok in 2019, right? Or 2018, even better. But let's say I can't give my like future knowledge to my past self, and it just has to be more general. I don't know. I think I would just kind of be like, yes, keep doing this. I don't know. I honestly, I don't think I would tell my past self anything, because I think every mistake I made and I learned a lot from having to bring my channel back from the brink 100,000 times, right? My channel will die every 2 weeks. It was so annoying. But I learned a lot of kind of like the perseverance and how to study and how to really figure out how to do the game right.
One thing I do want to ask about is creative process.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your creative process? Like, I always make the joke, like, are you sitting at night with a quill and a pen and a paper, like just writing out video ideas? Like, does it just come to you and you're like, I'm going to start recording? Like, how are you making videos?
I will say at this point, it kind of does just come to me just because I've done it for so long. Well, if we can go bit by bit. So for my reels, I usually go on TikTok to figure out kind of trends, ideas, things that people like, things that people are finding interesting. So almost a little bit of like TikTok arbitrage, because I'll find something trendy and good on TikTok, I'll bring it to reels. YouTube, since I do stories now, there are a lot of them are user submitted. So I'll read a story very quickly and I'll figure out, oh, can this be good for YouTube? Back when I was doing commentary, I was on Twitter a lot. I was also watching what other commentary channels would talk about. So I was also in the space. I cared about the space back in the day. It's not that I don't care. It's just I'm at a different point in my life, but I knew when news happened, so I could talk about it, right? So I'd say really just situate yourself wherever your content lives, whether it be, if it's news, be into the news. If it's like making like short videos, follow other people that are doing the stuff, figure out what they're doing, kind of be on touch with the trends there.
When it comes to stress management, you were mentioning a bit about perseverance and stress, and I wanted to follow up about that. Were there ever moments where it felt like it was too much, and how did you learn to manage stress and maximize productivity?
Yeah, so I did not have a super thick skin when I started this. I actually, at one point, maybe twice, at least one point, was like, dude, I don't think I can do this. So I'll be honest, I was like reading Twitter replies every day, comment sections every day, and I was like, this is messing with me too much. So I actually have a video where I was like, dude, like, I'm done. And it's crazy because now, like, I'll read comments, I'll be like, okay, like little Jimmy, 8-year-old on his iPad says I suck. No, dude, no. I'm gonna stop posting to my millions of subscribers. Yes, no, this kid's right. Now it's whatever. I think either you have a thick skin or you grow one. I did not in the beginning, and I just grew one. That also comes with maturing. When I was a kid, I cared a lot more, but now I'm still pretty young and I'm still immature in a lot of ways. But I just learned this. It's not that deep what random people who only know a split second of you, they know a split second of your character. They're not coming for you, right? They're coming for this product that you're putting out there. So it's just user feedback. It's not that deep. But it's something I couldn't like tell myself if I could go back, I couldn't be like, oh, it's not that deep, because it was an emotional response. It was like, oh, whatever. You just learn to get over it. You just learn it's not that deep.
So when exactly did you start making videos? You said like high school, around my age.
So I started making them in March of 2016. So that was seventh grade.
So
I only started being successful in my senior year of high school. I had a long journey posting content where I would average like 100 views. I'd be like, yeah, that's good. Because that was good for me at the time, right? But it took me a long time for it to actually click.
So you started 10 years ago, give or take, about 9, really.
It's gonna be 10 soon. Oh, geez.
That's a weird.
Yeah, I'm washed up, dude. at least in the like the internet, like the YouTuber space. Like I feel so washed up. I'm like, oh my God.
Hey man, Roman Atwood, Casey Neistat, Vitali are all still around. So
I know.
it was
I
foofy.
know.
It was foofy.
Yeah, no, I know. And, I think I'll be doing social for a really long time, partially because, like, I mean, my plan with my business, I have to be good at social. So I'll have to keep my stuff up for the sake of staying sharp. But yeah, no, and I still really do enjoy it. It's a really fun game to play. But yeah, I definitely feel like, wow, I'm an old man here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I found it sound funny saying this, but at 18, I'm like starting to be like, oh wait, now adulthood is a real thing that can happen.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I was like, can I be Peter Pan and stay a kid forever? I will say, if you can make the internet stuff work long term, big picture, then you can almost be a kid forever. Like, you have to be responsible. You will grow emotionally and mature, but you can kind of do what you like doing, do when you want to do it, live wherever, do whatever you want to work. That's another thing too, is like, I really do highly suggest like get in the online business space, whether I will say, man, like there is a very big, you could definitely make something as you grow this podcast where you grow to a size large enough that smaller people who want to make a name for themselves, you could charge like 500,000, 2,000 bucks for a podcast appearance once you're big enough and you just get the bigger people on for free because, to get the traction. And then what you can do is you can start being like, yeah, I'll do paid podcast appearance where you'll get boosted my audience. You can use the clips from this. You can use this, you can use that. I highly suggest, like, if you have the opportunity to make like an online business work, 100% do it, because you're your own boss. There's a lot of stress and annoying stuff with it, but it definitely beats other options, no question.
I appreciate the advice. Yeah, I mean, for me, I personally do plan on doing this for a while at the very least.
I support it, man.
Thank you. I do appreciate it. I guess my last question would be, do you have any advice for young people in general?
Yeah, I guess coming from an old man like me, let's see.
You're still young. You're still young.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm 22. Like, relative to like the people, I mean, people I work with are usually 40, 50, and I've worked with some people that are like 60. So they keep saying that to me. I'm like, all right, I'll take it. I would say, especially, I mean, with a little bit of like tilt towards social, I would say the feedback from your peers is not as important as you think. So here's the thing, I highly suggest post on TikTok, post on Instagram, post on YouTube. You're gonna be mocked for it, dude. You're gonna have people, talking, right? And that's gonna get to you a little bit, but you gotta look through that. Like, at the end of the day, their feedback is not that important. And the chance of being able to do this as like a full-time business and to do it like all the time is totally worth that. It's totally worth that, dude. That's all I'm going to say is, like, a lot of people are almost like too afraid to post because in the beginning it's cringe. If you post videos and you get 100 views, like, yeah, oh, it's cringe. Why is he trying? Like, I think I forgot who said this. It's like, maybe it's like ASAP Rocky or something, but it's like, when did it start being cool to not try? I think that's super true. Like, a lot of people, they'll start posting a little bit, they'll try to run their own business, whatever. I never make fun of that. I'm always like, that's cool, man. Go after that. Try. And if you fail, it's whatever. Here's one thing I will say. I could have everything fail, truly have everything fail. But one thing that I can always say is, I tried and you didn't. I at least tried. Right. And I will always be happy if that's it. I will always be happy if I can be able to say that. Right. And if it works out, well, then you can do this full time and it's sick.
Agreed. I'm in that boat all the way. And with that being said, do you have any final words to the audience?
Final words to the audience. Well, yeah, it's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be, well, I don't know how many, if it's like people watching this will be new people or people used to watch my YouTube or people who are kind of in the more business space. They're seeing if they want to work with me or if I'm crazy. I don't know. I guess final words to the audience would be, well, one thing I would say is like, if you see bits of me, You still probably don't know me, even if you think you do. And that's probably true for all the people you follow. So that's one really important thing. I've realized how different the content that I put out is versus who I am. And that's just kind of how it is. You got to protect yourself a little bit. I'd feel a lot more uncomfortable if I put more of myself really out there to so many people. And really, I just want to reiterate, like, it's always cool to try. Even if you post some cringe, even if you do something where you're like, it's kind of embarrassing looking back, it's always cool to try, man. That's one thing. It's always cool to try.
I think that's a great place to end off. All right.
Agree, man.
And with that being said, in tres, dos, uno.